Hello, everyone. We're getting started. I just want to give me a second, make sure everything is live streaming. We are streaming a few places. So we'll let everyone have a few seconds to join us. But this is going to be super interactive, so feel free to drop your comments in the chat. I think we should be able to pick them up on the different platforms as they come across. But yeah, drop them in the chat. We're going to have a great time. Again, this is interactive. We're looking forward to just sharing our story and talking to you guys, answering questions, and hopefully people can learn from our experience. Like I said, I'll be going back and forth to the different platforms. So if you have questions, just drop them in the chat, and we're going to go ahead and get started after I get a sip of water. So hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for the strategy playbook from passion to profit, where I have the pleasure to speak with one of my really good friends, as well as my client, Danielle Brown of Socially Desirable. And essentially, we're going to just kind of have a conversation and talk around our journey, how Danielle kind of got to where she's at today, and just kind of what worked for her, how I think I dispelled a lot of the myths around working with a coach and a consultant, and just, I guess, us just kind of talking about how we work together so people can better understand both of our strategies and kind of what we do. So Danielle, you want to tell them a little bit about what you do, and then I can tell them a little bit about the McKiever group.
Okay. Well, my name is Danielle. Like she said, I'm with Socially Desirable. It's a content creation company that works with businesses and brands. I visually tell your story in short form video. And when I came into this journey, it was definitely a hobby. It was something that kind of was pushed to be a business, and I didn't see that at first. But why not take something you love and turn it into profit? And I'm gonna be honest, it would probably still be a hobby right now if it wasn't for Dr. Shinika. She really drove me to that driving force of really realizing that this can be profitable, putting the steps in action, because I mean, you hear them, you go to a business coach, you hear them, but this was like my walking force to where I'm at today. So I'm grateful and I appreciate you.
Right. So again, I'm Dr. Shinika McKiever, and so I have the McKiever Group Creative Company, which is essentially we're a strategic leadership consulting firm, but I think we do so much more than just strategic leadership. We really are. Everything that I do is rooted in helping people be better, whether that's in your business, whether that's in your nonprofit, or whether that's in your personal life. And a lot of times, I think people just kind of get overwhelmed with information, or they get stuck, or they just really don't know where to go. And because they don't know where to go, it's like, oh, I'm just going to give up. And one of the things that is so frustrating is the time passes regardless. So I really set my business up and my business strategy to kind of help people and help people be like the best version of themselves, help people get clear and actionable steps and processes, and really just kind of move past that feeling of feeling overwhelmed or feeling stagnant or feeling just like you don't know what to do. And I've invested in different resources and nobody helps me. And I like to tell people, like, either I can do it for you, or I can give you a template or a process that will give you a step-by-step breakdown. And so I play in the space of, of course, leadership development and creating culturally inclusive leadership programs through lived experience, whether that's in corporate America, whether that's in nonprofits, or whether that's through trainings, convenings, team buildings, and things of that nature. But I also help nonprofits and community organizations or small grassroots organizations build capacity. And what I mean by that is help them develop structure, put processes in place. Like if you think about building a house, if you don't have the foundation of that house, it's going to fall apart when the wind blows. So helping people put the building blocks together to have a strong foundation so that they have a sustainable business, whether that's streamlining processes or, mapping out your ideas to understand, like, okay, is this idea even valid? Does this even make any sense? And so we do that. And then, of course, I do some executive coaching. So if you just need kind of one-to-one hands-on help, like we can have a conversation through a 1-hour coaching session, through a 90-minute strategy planning session. Or if you find that you need a little bit more help, we do like audits where I spend a half a day with you and we go through your systems and your processes, and you get some targeted recommendations around how do you move forward, or how do I do this. And a lot of times people think that they have it all together, but they really don't. And I think that's one of the things that was hilarious when kind of we got started, because I remember Danielle, she just resisted
Oh,
on
man,
so
so
many
much,
different
so
levels. And I was like, girl, why are you resisting? Like, you know what you're doing, you got a good product. She's like, I just don't feel comfortable with that. So I think that's kind of what I do, but I'm really just here to help people. And it's whether, like I said, it can be at a very technical, professional level, or it can even just be if you want to, do some personal branding, or you need some professional coaching and you're not sure, where to move in your career, like, let me help you or coach you through that. But of course, it's around.
And that's the important part, because for me, I had been an entrepreneur. A lot of people don't know that. I did a lot of different ventures outside of this first. So coming into it as an entrepreneur that was already, creating income, just creating a life for myself, I thought I had it together. Like, I thought I could just take what I did in other fields and just dump it and be like, okay, I got this all together. Everything's going to be good. Yeah, that was not the case. I really needed the strategic part of it. And and it has been a game changer. I'm trying to tell you, like, literally just being able to bounce ideas, have conversations, and then really getting the strategic part of it, right, has really been able to structure my business to where it is today. And I'm still growing, I'm still learning, I'm still working with Dr. Shinika on different things. I come up with different plans, different strategies, just bouncing back and forth. Her brain is amazing. I tell her that all the time. And so when you have a business, it's not just your typical coaching. And that's what I want to really get across is nothing against anybody that has this, but we've all been to the conferences, we've all been to the different things, and you've all heard some of the same information, but putting the steps, the processes in place, strategically getting your plan together, this is where you come in, and this is where you really help put those pieces together to create the actions that I'm making today. So.
Right. I mean, and we're coming up on like our 1 year anniversary. So it's like, I remember one of the first sessions we did I have these strategy labs, and they're like usually minimum 2 hours, but it's a super like intense, like we go through this workbook. A lot of people are super.
Oh, and I came in with no expectations of that. I came in like, cause we cool. So like when she saw me doing the business, she invited me to the strategy lab. And in my mind, it was like, I mean, she knows. I was like, I'm coming in here with like no expectation, hear the same regurgitated information. Like that's what I had already had in my plan. But
yeah, and I was like, well, you trust me, right? Because what a lot of people don't know is like we kind of grew up in the same hometown. So that's where our connection is at. But like a few years ago, God, it's probably been about 10, 12 years. Danielle had a whole completely different business, and she had put something on Facebook, and I had just messaged her like, hey, I saw you posted this. Have you ever thought about doing, X, Y, and Z? And she's like, oh no. So we connected there. And then a few years later, she was kind of starting the new venture. And a lot of people didn't know that, I also have a group called Brown Girl Collective of the Triad that I launched at the end of 2022. But I'm not the face of that. And so she was like, I was like, girl, I saw you doing this, let me know if you need to chat or I can support you in any way. And something. And she made the connection that it was me, but she's like, oh, you're behind there.
Yeah, I signed up for you were doing something, and I was like, oh, that's a great idea. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to that. And then we were talking, and you was like, I think you said I saw you signed up for my and I was like, I didn't even know it was you. Like, so literally the action she had put behind that brand worked because it grabbed me without even it being a connection of you being my friend. I literally just saw the plan and what you was putting into place. And
right. And that's what kind of sparked and triggered, I would like to call kind of like our working relationship. I'm not even gonna say working relationship, I say our partnership. Was because, I reached out and I was like, hey, well, I'm going to do a swag bag if you're willing to kind of do an what they call them, an unboxing, for me and just, promote it. Cause she was like, sure. And I, sort of pull some good stuff. Cause a lot of people don't know, I also, make bonnets and have a handmade. Only thing I can't do is like, I can't dance and I don't sing that well, but I tell people they've never made me $1. So I'm all right with it. But, she was willing to kind of, promote it for me, put it out to her platform. And so that's kind of where the conversation stemmed. And then we just started kind of checking in on a regular basis, which led to kind of that first strategy lab. And I have this document, it's called the Creative Strategy Guide, and we'll be dropping that next week as a template, which we'll talk about templates and my kind of fascination behind those in a little bit. But she ended up coming over and we just kind of went through this step-by-step process. And I feel like the strategy guide is it's like broken down into like 6 sections. So it starts out with you kind of really getting clear on what's your why and your purpose. And if anybody knows me, I tell people, if you're not purposeful or intentional behind your brand, then what are you doing it for? And so Danielle was like, I serve everybody. I was like, you cannot serve everybody.
Down. I'm telling you, I came in thinking I really had it together. I'm just being real. I really thought like I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what this brand was gonna be. Like I just thought I had it. And even so, what I'm telling y'all is if you do have a business and you're already established and you feel like you have it together, you might still not have it together.
Right.
Like you still need help, and it's okay to get that help.
Right. I mean, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you're deep into it. And I tell people, maybe a lot of people don't know, is my research focused on how do women entrepreneurs develop as adaptive leaders. So I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. And the things that I do, the programs, all of that is very intentional and it's research backed. And one of the things that I learned in doing that research is there's no guidebook to entrepreneurship. And a lot of it is like trial and error and figuring it out as you go and trying new things, and also recognizing that perfection is the enemy of great. And you wait for it to be perfect, and then you think it's so good. Like I had a flop last year, but it was the best lesson. Like I had this product, and I was like, this thing is good. It's the next best thing to like sliced bread. And nobody bought it. But what it taught me in that moment, and I think that was right around the time right before we got connected, good, was that nobody understood my messaging. It wasn't clear. They didn't know how they fit into what I did. So I had a marketing problem. And so I burnt everything down. I ended up taking some time away from, I've taken time like 3 or 4 times this year away from social. So consistency is key, but I had to
but you're still human.
Right.
We're still human.
And you have to give yourself grace and recognize when you need what you need to focus on and what you don't need to focus on. Because a lot of times social is it's vanity and it ain't really making you any money, because I know both of us, a lot of our business comes from word of mouth. Of course, I want to get to a place where social is where most of my leads are coming from, but the reality of it is right now we're not there. So, and that's fine.
I'll beg to differ on that. Mine has picked up a lot, but it's because my messaging is being more clear.
Right.
So until you get to that point, you're not ready for that. And I'm still getting my messaging completely clear, but until you do the strategic steps to be able to have a clear message, your social is really just there.
And let's talk about that for a little bit, because anybody that knows me knows your girl loves a good strategy lab. So Danielle and I'll do these bulks of time where we go and we have 2 or 3 strategic priorities that we're going to work on. So last summer we went out up. I'm from Randolph County, grew up Liberty, go Liberty. If you're on there, I love my hometown and they love me, it's just that country upbringing. But we had went out on the outskirts of Asheboro to the getaway houses and did a strategy session. And it's funny because the work we did last July is where you see a lot of what we're doing today showing up. And again, I had another guide and we went through this content. And I remember when I sent Danielle this, and I got to tweak it a little bit, but I call it a dashboard, but it's a content creation dashboard. When I tell you this thing is a juggernaut, it's got 5 different tabs, but each tab breaks down okay, here's your content creation strategy for the month. Here's the type of content pillars that you want to create that align with your brand. And it was just really overwhelming with where she was at that point in time. And
that's everything. You have to be honest with your coach. I will tell her if I don't get it. I will tell her I don't understand. I will be like, I don't know what you're talking about, because that's the only way to grow. We take in information sometimes and we feel like the person that's giving it to us is not useful, but a lot of times they're not useful because we didn't even understand what they were saying. So you have to really ask questions and trust your coach,
right?
And really dive into the questions and just what you need to know, because I'm telling you, it was really overwhelming at the time. I completely get it now, but at the time it was for where I was not ready for that. For where I was, I hadn't did the background work. I hadn't put all my strategies in place. Didn't have a clear message. I didn't even kind of know what I was doing, to be honest. So the tools aren't going to work until you're ready to work them, if that makes sense.
And I think the other part of that is timing, and then just kind of awareness of self and knowing you don't know everything. And sometimes like Danielle and I, we'd have these, I want to call them like, we'd have these little spats. And it wasn't that we were fighting. It was just, she was just resisting. But one of the other things that I think shows up in entrepreneurship that we coach through that a lot of people don't recognize is the trauma piece. And you remember in that first session where we just had to release some of the trauma around just your lived experiences and your upbringing and that expectation you had around yourself and your business. And so in releasing that trauma, it was like, I am enough and I deserve to be here. And look at all the things that I've overcome and that I've come through to get to this point. So who better than me than to be able to show up authentically in this space and share that message?
And a lot of that was from being a young parent, being a wife, literally putting everything into that. So all my wives, mothers, like I can relate, like trying to start a business, but also being a wife, also being a mother, it's a lot. And when you put so much into that, I put myself last a lot. And so when it came to my business, I had to realize like, no, I got to put that in the forefront if I want to work it. And so literally connecting to your childhood dramas, being able to understand what might be your blockage in your business is key.
Right. And I'm not a mom, but I also juggle a lot. And I think sometimes one of my favorite things that I've learned in the past 2 years is establishing boundaries.
Yes.
Especially as a business owner, and in establishing boundaries, it means with other people, but also kind of like boundaries with yourself. And so kind of knowing what you're going to put up with, what you're not, when you're going to take that break, when it's like, okay, I've worked enough, I'm spending time with my family and that's okay. Or even boundaries around rest and not being unapologetic and having those seasons of rest and recognizing that you have up seasons and down seasons, but if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be any good to anyone. And I think sometimes you try to do everything in your business, but sometimes you've got to prioritize. Like Rome was not built in a day. So picking like 2 or 3 strategic priorities, which this is part of my big coach.
That's a huge piece for me because I'm an overthinker for one. And for two, I'm so used to, because in my mother wife role, I mean, I'm a toot my own horn, I do it well. So when it comes to business, I expect everything I just wanted everything to just, I mean, I do my job well. I can record well. I can shoot your content well, but that ain't it. Me having the product or you selling that shirt, you might be able to make that shirt well, but can you market that shirt? Do you have the strategic plan to sell that shirt? Do you know who your market is? Do you know who you're targeting? Do you know? It's so many other pieces to just doing something well. And so when you have a hobby coming from me, that really it was like a passion for me. So being a hobby, I literally was just like, oh, I do this well, I'll sell it, and it was like, wait, no, we got to dig deeper than that. I can't just sell something that's good. I have to know the background pieces of it. And that's where Dr. Shinika came in to kind of put all those pieces together. So now I can sell it.
Right. Because I mean, it was even like, Danielle was like, oh, well, I like that. And I'm like, yeah, Danielle, but you're spending a lot of time. And the amount of time and the hours ain't accounting to what you're getting paid. And one of my favorite taglines is, charge your worth and add tax, because a lot of times as women, especially women of color, it's like we undercharge and we don't account for time. And that was another big trauma release around like, I am worthy to charge these prices and that's it. And I'm not going to discount it, because you got to think about it like this, if you're like, oh, I want something affordable. Okay, well, that's great. But I spent a lot of time investment in this, but my research, my schooling, my continuing eds, where, time, it costs money, and then time is priceless. So if your goal is to be affordable, that's fine, but I may not be the person for you, because my goal is to provide value. And one of my favorite sayings is you get what you pay for, and you pay for what you get. So if you got a discounted price, don't be surprised if you get a discounted service or something that's low impact or low value, because at some point you've got to be willing to make an investment in yourself or in your business. And that's even around, pricing and your signature services and not doing all the things. So let's just do a numbers thing real quick, because like she said, she went from passion to,
so this is something I did for free.
Right.
Let's be real. When I say hobby, I mean, I started out free, y'all.
Just helping
today,
people.
What they say, yesterday is Friday, today's price.
No.
Yes, I started out free because it was a hobby for me, and it was nothing wrong with that because I call it my marketing budget. I just felt like I learned so much doing it for free for people. But when I was doing it for free, that's where I came from. So when we started talking prices, oh, I was all pushback.
Oh, and it was a resistance. It was a big resistance. But I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm the coach that's gonna tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. But if you think about it, like say you're doing some low-end service and you're doing free discovery calls, like, and you just keep doing all these free discovery calls, and people are just picking your brain, and you spend all your time doing free discovery calls. What's the difference if you put a $25 discovery? At least you ain't got to worry about people wasting your time, and at least you got $25 for that hour, right? So for someone like Danielle may go on an event, and she's on that event. If you take into account her travel, her shoot, and not even just editing, just getting to the event and her doing her time at the event, say that's 3 hours. Then you add the 2 hour, if it's an event that she's there at least an hour, it's probably gonna be a 2 hour process. So that's already 5 hours, right? If she's just charging $20 an hour, that's $100. Versus if she had a project plan for $500, you get 2 hours. That includes travel to and from, and then 3 videos. That's a package.
Yeah.
That's a lot better. That's 5 times what she was gonna make just at that hourly rate, or even at that hourly rate she can't even afford to do it at that rate. So you have to think about a return on your investment. What is the minimum for my time?
Yeah.
And then you've got to make sure that you're charging that, because you've got to account for all aspects for it. Like I'm a consultant, so I may have a coaching session. But if it's one of my, say, for example, a monthly retainer client, we may have a strategy session. Then there's work that has to occur after that strategy session, or if there's deliverables. So you've got to think about the amount of time that goes into it. And I know a lot of service providers don't talk about it, but I'm a big proponent of having conversations with other people that is willing to talk to you. Like, hey, what are you charging? Because I don't want to undercut myself, but I also don't want to over price. So an easy way to say is like, hey, what's your budget? But again, I think it's like one of the things that she was really resistant on was around charging the worth of her services. And I think that's really important when you move from that passion project to really realizing like this is a viable business. And it was so funny when we kind of started shifting her mindset, because it's a scarcity versus a growth mindset, which means scarcity is limited. Oh, it's not enough. I can only be this much. It's essentially playing small. Versus growth is it's endless.
Yeah.
Why not me?
Absolutely.
It's accessible. When she changed her mindset, then my girl started getting corporate clients, like big name corporate clients, to where, she didn't even think that that was possible a year ago. And now isn't the bulk of your clients more corporate than the kind of event stuff you enjoy doing?
It is. I've learned that I need this to survive. This is how I make my money. So yes, definitely. And putting those in actionable steps into play, it didn't make sense. I literally would be home sometimes. Like people don't know the background work that goes into what I do. So you might see me out there filming, but then you don't realize I have to come home. Sometimes if I say I'm at your event 3 hours or more, I have to render all that footage. I have to take it off of one thing, put it on something else. I have to upload it. I'm literally watching your event twice. So I'm there looking at it. I come home and I look at it again because I have to go through all this footage. I have to take out these moments. Then I have to edit. I have to put everything in place. So it literally is, you have to account and pay for your time. You have to account and pay for your service. And coming from a hobby to a business, that's very, very important, because like I said, it's something you did out of love. It's something you did for free. It's something you did, because you love it. But those corporate clients, they are the ones that understand it. They are the ones that pay, with no question. So I did shift that. I will forever, still do projects that I love just because it was a passion first. And so I'm going to always work with those influencers, and I'm gonna always work with different people that just kicks my creative bug. But you still got to pay.
Right. And I think
you still have to pay.
And it's also recognizing that like your family and friends aren't your clients, and you got to get clear. And I think that takes us back to kind of that strategy guide, which was like the first step is like really getting clear on like who do you serve and what's your why, because you got to think about it like this. Like with what Danielle does, it's such an emerging field. A lot of people don't even know that they need kind of this behind the scenes. Like, we tagged her brand persona as the behind the scenes queen, BTS. So like, you got to like tag yourself as like, what's memorable that people would know you by. But a lot of people don't realize like, oh, like I need that service. So you got to have like, it's got to be a demand for it. And you got to kind of validate that idea to make sure that people want it. Like a lot of people start things or create stuff and nobody wants it. And they haven't done any research, or we call that market research, around, is this a good idea? Is there a demand for it? And then if it's existing service, like you've got to show up in a different way, or fill some type of gap. So like the gap she feels is because she's not a videographer, she's not the person, like you've got people that you pay a lot of money that comes in and they'll film your whole event, but guess what, you're going to get back 8 hours of raw footage that you don't know what to do with. Versus Danielle can come in, she can be there for an hour, she's going to capture the behind the scenes, and then you literally have this mini commercial that's like boom, or these quick clips that allow you to get like really good traction on social media and tell your story in the process through that short form video. So it's very specific, it's very targeted, and it's a niche for it. And like I've added her to like a lot of my nonprofit clients, because a lot of people don't know is I help nonprofits align kind of like their digital content creation strategy with their donor relation strategy, or their like mission, vision, and values.
And let's just go back. This is something I fought her on. Like when she would say like, you can work with this nonprofit, I was like, oh, that's not my client. That's not my people, because it was fun for me and I only wanted to do what I thought was fun stuff. What I'm learning is I like it all, and I do love my corporate clients, but in the beginning, that's not what I saw for myself. So be okay with thinking outside the box.
Right.
Be okay with putting the processes and strategic plans together to be like, let me try this. Let me see if this will work. And it does, because guess what? Those clients want the fun too. I go to conferences all the time and I have a blast.
Right.
It's the fun behind it. But in my mind, because I had this one track mind of like what I wanted to do when I first came into this, and this is all I was going to do, I was missing out, and I could be missing out on like so much that I'm doing right now that I absolutely love, because I had that one track mind. And literally, I will admit that, like, I was just so against it. I was just like, no, that's not what I do. I want to do this fun, exciting stuff. And to me, that's what I thought it was. And I'm telling you, so like, be coachable, be willing to learn, and always be willing to shift. Especially, like I said, in my business, it's new, it's upcoming. Some people don't even know they need it until they need it.
Right.
Most of my clients are repeat. Once they see they need it, I got them. They're here to stay. They ain't going nowhere. But getting to the client and just being able to be like, okay, because let's be real, if I only did the stuff that I wanted to do, I wouldn't have corporate clients, because I would only be showing that one side of myself.
Right.
So being able to walk into that and be like, okay, this is okay, I can do this. Because like I said, I pushed, I did.
Right.
I'm probably not the ideal of.
But I mean, look at where you've gotten, and sometimes you got to get out of your own.
You got to get out your own way.
And be, again, like you said, receptive, and be open to pivoting. And I think that's why you got to be really clear and have some type of passion behind your business, because business is hard. Entrepreneurship full-time is hard. You have a lot of up and down periods. So you've got to have some type of passion or affinity for the work that you're doing, because if not, it's going to be really easy to give up when the going gets tough. So I think that goes into kind of having that clear, brand messaging. You also need to kind of know who you serve. So like, who is your ideal client? Like, you've heard us talk a lot about niche, and like when Danielle started, like, she's like, oh, I want to do all these events. Now she don't even really like doing those type of events anymore, because it's a lot of work, and you want to maximize your impact. You want to work smart and not hard. And I'm not saying that's being lazy, but if you can get a client that's going to pay you $2,500 for a monthly retainer for 10 videos, and you don't have to go out and shoot anything but maybe 2 hours of content, like that's going to make a lot more sense than spending $500 on 3 hours. And so you want to have a mix of things, so you have that diverse, kind of income stream. And that goes into like having, making sure it's easy for people to find you, easy for people to work with you. Like one thing Danielle and I recently did, I was like, girl, you just need to invest in like the paid Calendly link, because then you can set your availability, you can block times, and you can also set up a paid discovery link where people can pay for that quick 20-minute conversation that's wasting time. And you got to be okay with recognizing like time is money, and the knowledge that I have is valuable, because I think one of the other things one of the processes we had to implement was like a screening. So like an inquiry. So where people apply to work with her, because a lot of people was setting up a discovery call to just pick her brain around, oh, I want to do this on social media. And she's not a social media manager.
Yeah.
She's a short form video content creator. So being very clear so that you know what one you need to say no to, and no, I don't do that.
Yeah. And one of the new processes that we're putting in place is just like those, answering those, but it's not up yet, but I'm putting it up. It will be up soon. But just the frequently asked questions, that's a big, huge process that I think is going to be a game changer for me, because a lot of things people call me and talk about, where again, it's not that I don't mind talking to anyone, but if it's certain questions that I can answer online. And of course, then that gives me some free time to be doing something else. So it's just really, those are the strategic things that I didn't honestly even think about. I did not think about. I didn't say, oh, let me put a frequently asked questions on my website. But that's where Dr. Shinika comes in. Those are the things that she points out, like, okay, when you sit down, we have those real conversations. What's your pain points? What are you having trouble with? What's going on in your business? And then we take what I'm having trouble with, and then we use her brain, so I don't have to think about it. And she puts those processes into place. And that has been a game changer for me, just growing and realizing I need those processes. I need those.
Right. And I think even when you're kind of in that space where you're like, okay, I'm really good at this, but this is my hobby and I want to monetize it, you got to ask yourself, like, what is it that people are coming to you for? So like with Danielle, like people, her friends and family were already asking her to kind of, shoot those videos or put those things together for her. So why not get paid for it? But if you're not sure, like, what is it that people are asking you to help with, or what is it that, you enjoy doing that, I can make a little coin, but I also caution people around your hobbies. Don't try to monetize all of your hobbies,
Right.
because sometimes you still have to have something you have passion for. So like a lot of people don't know, I bake and I'm a very good baker. And I did I been at an event about 2 weeks ago, and I did baked goods. And everybody was like, why don't you bake? Why don't you? I'm like, because I don't want to get burnt down on it, because I like to bake. I got some things going on. I need to relieve some stress. That's something I'm passionate about. I love doing. So I would never monetize it. Like my sister's girlfriend, she's a great cook, like a great cook, should have her own catering business, but she won't start a catering company because she doesn't want to burn out, because she loves cooking and seeing people eat. So everything doesn't have to be monetized. So just think about that.
Yes.
What, if it is a hobby, what hobby do you need to protect as kind of like sacred and your own? And what could, like, okay, I could do this for a business because I enjoy helping people. So I might as well get paid for helping people, right? So just think through that, because I think that's super important.
Yes. And that's very important, because even with me on my burnout moments, that's when you'll see that video pop in of me and my family, or me, out with my husband or out with my kids, because those are the things that I recorded that I loved, that I don't do. I used to do them all the time, as you probably, if you've been following me, you used to see a lot about my family, a lot about me and things like that. And you don't see that as much now, because I do it for a job. So when I have my free moments, I'm gonna be honest, I disconnect. I'm putting that camera down. So you have to be prepared that you will get burnt out on certain things, but it's still fun for me, and it's still a hobby. I mean, it's not a hobby anymore. It's business for me now. So like I said, I still take those moments to make it a hobby for me. Like I'll be going out of town next week. You'll probably see a lot of fun content on my personal page, because that's the fun part for me. So most people be like, oh my goodness, you're working. I'm not working right now. This is the fun part for me. This is the content that I do because I just love it. This is what makes me happy. This is what gives me joy. But then I still have my business. And it's even though it is a hobby that turned into a business, it's two totally different entities right now. And my hobby is my hobby and my business is my business. So you do have to be able to keep them separate, or you will burn out. You can't keep up the hobby like you do the business.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think even like if you're still working your 9 to 5 and you have a hobby or a side hustle, like my advice is also to remind yourself that you still have to make time for that business, because if you don't make time for it, nobody else is going to make time, and that job is still going to be there, and then you're going to still be burnt out. So like, if you know that you work and you be like, make time, like get up a little earlier in the morning or block some time, or, when you're on your lunch break, but you still have to make time for your business, because that time is going to pass you by. Either way it goes. And I guess to just kind of like, wrap it up before we open it up to if anyone may have questions, I think it's really getting clear on knowing who you serve down to like where they spend their time. So like one of the realizations we had with social media, like for me, is when it comes to social media, I spend most of my time curating content for LinkedIn. And then I just kind of repurpose everything else across Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And I may be a little bit more intentional, like short form videos for TikTok, but my ideal client is on LinkedIn. They're not on Instagram. So why would I spend all this time there? Like, you don't have to be on all the social media platforms. Pick one or
Pick
two.
one to focus on. Yeah, one or two to focus on, and the others you can always cross post. Like, you'll see stuff from me on TikTok that of course you've seen on Instagram or whatever, but I'm gonna be honest, I probably never go to TikTok. That's something I'm gonna lean towards, and I'm not against TikTok, but I just have not, that's not my lane right now, and that's not where my client is or customers are for me. So I just have not focused on that. So yeah, you'll get burnt out too with that,
Right.
which is where I come in. A lot of my clients, because I do the content for you, I help you with that burnout. So I give you the content and then you can post it at your will. So, that helps with the burnout if you want that. But yeah, no, you will definitely, don't overdo your social media. Find where your client is, where people resonate with you, and build from there, because you will. And take your breaks. Take your social media breaks when you need to take one. It's okay. It's gonna be there when you come back.
And I think with content, you also have to have some type of strategy behind content. Like, you can't just be out here creating content to throw and see what's going to stick, because nothing's going to stick. And so it's like thinking about it from a process of like, my favorite way to approach it is themes. Like, so like, for example, I do a lot of work with nonprofits. So like, this April is National Volunteer Month. So a lot of my clients are focused around, highlighting their volunteers. So, last month was Women's History Month. February was Black History Month. So like, pick a theme. And then, like, if you're going to do like, let's say like we just said, like maybe like if a theme is like leadership, like the first week content may rotate around like, what is leadership? What is leadership? Define leadership. The second week may be leadership identity. Third week may be leadership development needs. And then the last week may be, how do you apply these leadership tips to your own leadership journey, right? That's very clear. And then within kind of that 5 weeks of content, you would break each day down into a step. And then that may be a blog post, that can be a week of social media posts. So it's like repurposing it.
And make your content what you like too.
Right.
Like for Dr. Shinika, she's not as comfortable in front of the camera, but she will write. And so blogging can be her content, like you can blog for your content. There are people that need that information. And a lot of what she has to say, I do short form videos. Sometimes they're 10, 12-second songs. And, she can't say what she needs to say in 10 to 12 seconds. So what we've even learned on this journey is, with her, the short form content that I can give her is going to lead you to where you need to go. It's not for you to tell everything that you need to tell or sell everything that you need to sell. My content sells kind of who I am, because I'm a content creator.
Right.
If you're not a content creator and you're my client, your short form videos, we have to strategically sit down and figure out what is going to work for you.
Right.
So you can't model yourself too against anybody else's content. You have to do what is comfortable for you and what's going to work for your business. And that calendar, you need to tell them about going back to the calendar, because that is a structure.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, with the content creation calendar, like there's so many tools nowadays that simplify a lot of this, especially like ChatGPT. I do a whole course on ChatGPT and content creation, but like you can use that to help you plan your calendar out. It can help you bulk create content, but essentially that calendar is breaking that out. Like on this week, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we're going to post 2 educational posts. We're going to post a promotional post, and I'm going to do a sales post. And then creating that content like ChatGPT, you can create a Canva post from there. Canva has AI capacity within it, but it's really about being intentional around what am I trying to gain from this content and not getting caught up in vanity metrics like followers and likes, because you can have 1,000 followers, but if nobody's buying what you're selling, then what is the point? So you want people that are converting or, getting them from using social media to drive them to your website or to your email list where you actually own, that information and that data, because we've all been to the days when we have like, social media crashes and you can't post anything. If all of your clients are in that social media basket, what happens versus if you have an email list or you have a website where you're sharing, resources, and I've got to do better about this myself. But I've got some good blog posts where you could go and just get some information. But the great thing about blog posts is, guess what? You SEO rank, and I've got to do this myself. But Google business page, if you're a service provider, like having an updated Google business page so that people, if they're searching, you can look for that. If you struggle with content creation or you don't know what to do, like go search your field in any of the search boxes on TikTok, on Instagram, and see what's popular and what's coming up. Or you can use a tool like askthepublic.com, which you get a free search, I think, once a day, and it'll give you the most popular or the trending topics around your industry or whatever topic that you put in. So that's kind of ways. And then you can take that a step further and put in, a prompt into ChatGPT or some type of AI capacity and said, hey, I'm a strategic leadership consultant and I need to create 30 days of content to resonate with my ideal audience, which may be corporate clients that are interested in developing mid-management leaders.
Did y'all just catch that, Jim? Because she just gave y'all a whole ChatGPT prompt.
Create, this list that includes, a list, a mix of educational posts, tips based, and then it'll create that content. And all you have to do is go create a simple graphic, which can literally be a quote around that content with your little face, and I get template where you can download that too. But, and you can, that is that simple. But a lot of this, we make it hard or we overthink, and you don't have to post every day. Like,
consistency is not
30 days a week.
Yeah.
That's good. Like, that's consistent. And,
that's consistent.
Do look and see, what's going. But, maybe just posting Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that's enough.
Yeah.
And then playing with the different times. It's about, like, what I had to learn was stop trying to chase the algorithm and what everybody else is doing, because you're going to stay burnt out and feeling like what you're doing is never enough. Sometimes you gotta have tunnel vision, because it's like the iceberg. You don't know what's underneath the surface and kind of how long that they've been doing that, or if they're working with someone, or if they got some, or if they bought some bots. Like, you don't know.
Well, and y'all, like, if you've been following me, authenticity is like my main thing of content, and that's another branch of where my content comes from, like the BTS queen, because I do authentic content. I don't make you go outside of who you are to create what you need to create for your business, because if you have a business, that's it. That's the content. Like, who you are is the content. What you sell is the content. We don't have to completely overthink it. And that's kind of where I come in to kind of help you just put those little videos together. So then when you come up with that strategic guide or those prompts that you have, and okay, I need to talk about this, 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 and this, then you can take the content that I deliver and there's your post and you already have it. So literally, like, just finding the systems and the plan that works for you. Everything needs a plan.
Right. And I'm the person who's going to ask, like, what are your goals?
Yeah,
like, what are you trying to achieve here? And if you can't tell me what you are trying to achieve, you're not even ready to start creating content, which I think brings me to probably a good wrapping up place before we open it up for questions, is like capabilities deck. And everybody, like, she got a big time corporate client off of her capabilities deck. And what that is literally like your pitch deck for your business or nonprofit.
I call it my resume, because since I do digital services,
right,
it's hard to put my stuff on paper. They need to, like, really kind of, I mean, it's still telling them what I do, but
it's a high level visual. Not a lot of text. It's text there, but it's telling the story of kind of behind, this is what I do, this is how I do it, this is who I've done it for, and this is why you should work with me. And you can, do them in different ways. I've got some templates that I'll be dropping on that. I have a do it for you service, but like, just like that capabilities deck is a game changer. And I'm gonna let her talk about her process while I see if I can pull hers up for us to just, so you can just kind of get an idea of what we're talking about before we open it up for questions.
Yeah, so for me, because I'm new to this service-based business, what I did before, I had a product and I just sent you the product when you ordered it. So when it comes to actually selling myself, for one, y'all know I like to be behind the camera. I don't necessarily have to be in front of the camera. So we came up with this. She was like, well, do you have a capabilities deck? And I'm like, no, like what? And so we came up with this capabilities deck. She has the templates for it. I'm telling you, you can go and plug and play, or you can let her design it all beautifully for you. But it literally tells the story of what I do. You can kind of see everything. It kind of answers your questions for you. It's literally, I call it my resume. So if I'm pitching myself to someone or someone wants to know more about what I do, of course I can send them to my Instagram, but I have fun on Instagram. You know, that's not where I want my corporate clients to go. I mean, I don't care if they go, it's nothing bad on there, but that's not where they're going to go and see the true me and who I am and all of that. So, this is my capability set and it's amazing. I think, is it sharing yet?
Yeah, I think it should be sharing.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, and it literally just captures the essence of who she is. And like you said, this is like a share only link. So you can download it as a PDF. You've got that quick welcome message telling people who you are. And like a lot of times when she sends this out, this eliminates her having to talk to people because her website's clear. And with this complimenting that, people know exactly what they're doing and what they're getting from it. But you see, it's got about us, what she does, who she serves. Here's an overview of
and it
the
can
company.
be updated. It can be updated and changed out. Like even right now, I don't know if I have videos. I have put videos in it before to send, but it depends on my client what videos I put in. So if I'm sending it to a corporate client, the videos are going to be different than if I'm sending it to someone that I'm doing their wedding. If I'm doing their wedding, then I'm going to put wedding videos in my capabilities deck so they can see kind of what I do. So that's the beauty of it. You can definitely you can update it, change it out, just like a resume. But it's amazing.
You can literally tweak it based off like the audience and who you're showing to. And like I said, it highlights what makes her different so that people know a quick, behind the overview of this is who she is. Understand her client's needs. So this is what you're going to get out of working with us. So again, it's very intentional. It's very purposeful. This is how we solve your problems. This is what we do. And like I said, hers is very specific to her brand, which is colorful and fun. And so I really have love when I get to play with her stuff because I'm a colorful, fun person too. But you see, it's like it's intentional. It feels good. It makes you want to, work with her. It's also clean. You got that information in there. I'm going backwards, but get it. And now you get into the capability. So this is what makes her different. Like this is her expertise. This is where this is what you're not going to get anywhere else. And like I said, this took work to even be able to get here to articulate this message, but you see, it's more visual. It's not a lot of words. And if it is words, they're very high level. So now she's defined out, like she didn't have these service bundles a year ago. She was just doing any and everything for a coin, but now she's very specific and intentional behind the work that she's doing. And then, this is more in depth, like going into this is why, people would want to work with you, and it gives them a very clear advantage and they understand. And again, these are just that more packaged things. And this you can, I love it because with Canva, you can do a view only link. So you don't have to worry about people replicating or sharing it kind of outside of where it may need to be shared. Like they can't print this. And then there's that case study of the client profile of who she serves and how she solves the problem for them. Forgot that was in there. And then just kind of the next steps. So this is what you would do if they wanted to work with her. And the videos are not on this, but as you can see, it's very step by step, clear, intentional, and tells that story without you spending an hour on the phone talking to someone. And so again, like I said, that's a service that we offer. If you have interest or need, you can message us and we can kind of go from there. But yeah, I think now is a good time where I'm gonna stop talking and see if we have any questions before we wrap this up. So yeah, if you got any questions, if you're watching live or on the Zoom, you can feel free to drop them in the chats. We got a good afternoon from Wallace. Good afternoon. There's no other questions that came over yet. So we'll give it a few seconds and see. But if not, I think this was a great conversation. I would love to, if you guys have other topics that you're interested in learning more about, like, let us know. I'm happy to come back on, and I have a few things that'll be coming up. We have one more seat left in I'm doing a women's and wellness leadership.
It's gonna be good.
Training.
There's only one more
One
spot.
seat, it's one spot left, so
I better grab it.
so you better grab it if you're local to try it, to the
Two
triad.
great people that's gonna be good. I'm gonna try to come film so I can just get in the door. I'm just
Yeah, it's almost sold out. So, and it's gonna sell out. But yeah, that's on April 24th, I believe. I'll be dropping some things. As you guys know, I do a lot of work with young women. So we're doing a summit for young ladies here at Transform, where we're actually at now, on April 26th. So I'm gonna need some sponsors to help us feed these young women. So I'll be putting that information out, and every dollar counts. So if you want to make a small contribution, or if you want to make a larger one, you can contact me, and we'll be partnering with Southwest High School around that. So it'll be about 40 young women. A few quick updates that I hopefully will be putting out this weekend, but we ain't put them, they're not up anywhere. But with Beat Brown Girl Collective of the Triad updates, I believe it's the first weekend in May. That Friday we'll be at Renovations in downtown High Point for a BGC mixer, and it is a beautiful women-owned co-working art gallery space. So definitely encourage you to come out. That event, I believe, is free, and we'll have some refreshments. So if you're interested in sponsoring, some food, let us know. And then we'll also, the following Saturday, we will be back at Savor the Moment for our spring pop-up. As you all know, we did a fall holiday bazaar, and so we'll have some vendors at Savor the Moment on that Saturday, which will be a great time for you to come out and shop some Black women-owned businesses, especially if you haven't gotten your Mother's Day gifts. But both of those will be that first weekend in May, and there'll be more to come there. And then I will be doing, I'm hosting a community engagement symposium on May 24th, also here at Transform. And that's going to be just like a full day event around building inclusive communities. And it's going to be intense around public-private partnerships. How do you identify your strategic priorities? Doing community needs assessments or community audits, and then having a panel around affordable housing and how you kind of respond to that space. So again, very intentional, super impactful. So that'll be coming. Registration will be opening up for that in the coming weeks. And then I'll be doing some different workshops and trainings coming up, both virtually and in person. So just be on the lookout. You can go to our website, www.themckievergroup.com, and join our email list, or follow us on social. I'm at Dr. Shinika McKiever on most of the platforms, and I think I'm at Shinika McKiever on LinkedIn. But yeah, a lot of things coming up. It's exciting time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of everything that lies ahead. And Danielle got some stuff coming up. We're working on something, and we're not going to announce it yet. We've got some things behind the scenes. If you're local, we're probably going to be doing something soon. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of, you got anything coming up that you want to share?
Most of my stuff is I'm in these rooms with other people. But if you want to hire me, definitely reach out. All of my stuff is at Socially Desirable on all of my socials. My website is www.sociallydesirable.com. Always reach out to my inbox if you need me, or I have a link on my website where you can reach out and schedule a call. But we are definitely just on the move. We are growing and expanding, and some people know that my son is a film major at UNCW, but he is coming on board with mommy. So that's an announcement to make. So he will be working with me this summer. He specializes in YouTube creation. So if you are needing, that will be a service that will be added. So that's an announcement. Right. YouTube creation. I have a lot of people reach out to me for that. I can make your short form videos that you can put on YouTube, but he is the master behind all of the things YouTube. So he will be on my team, and we will be working and adding that. So if you are interested in YouTube, want to know more about YouTube, let me know, because that will be a service that will be added really soon.
Yeah, and if you need the tag team duo, content and strategy, like that's our thing, and how we work well. And I think just kind of closing thoughts, I just encourage, small businesses, people that are interested in business, like collaborate and partner with other people. Like you lose nothing from collaboration, and it gives you, additional exposure. So, have that conversation, reach out, connect with people, because it takes other people to kind of get your name and your brand out there. Just so, just be willing to take that risk on yourself, because it's always going to be worth it.
Definitely agree. And that to piggyback off what she said, I'm always open to collaborate, have a discussion, see how we can work together. I am that person. I love to collaborate. I love to feed off other people's ideas. I love to share my ideas when we can, partner and work together. So don't be afraid to say, hey, and I'm looking for interns. So if you know some interns that want to learn more about content creation, please hit me up, because I am busy and I need, for one, I just want to give back and I want to help, but also because I need some help. So
Yeah, and last shameless plug, next Thursday, April 11th at 7:00 p.m., I will be doing a webinar with Hood Theology around corporate sponsorships for faith-based communities. So if you're a church or a faith-based organization that needs some help or really doesn't understand how fundraising and nonprofit grants can apply to your mission or your faith-based institution, this will be a great workshop. That's a free resource provided by Hood Theology, and that'll be streaming live, I believe, on probably on Facebook and LinkedIn. So 7:00 p.m. I'll be live. So hopefully you guys can join us. But thank you so much, Danielle, for your time today. And this
won't be the last time you see this duo, I promise.
No, and I hope everyone has a great weekend. And happy Friday, y'all. All right, bye.